me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
Lessons to teach my daughter about men. So last week we talked about the first 5 lessons, and lesson number 1, a man that is truly interested in you or loves you will be available to you. All right, you want to get the full lesson, you got to go back and listen to last week's show. By the way, I got pricked in the spirit again. I text Ide, right? Because I'm like, this ain't going on YouTube. This is going in the personal archives. And middle of the week, I said, Ide, we got to put it on YouTube. And so it will be on YouTube, you guys. Okay. That's what happens when you think you know what you're saying, right? I'm like, this ain't going on YouTube. Man, Spirit was like, put that on YouTube. Okay. So it's going to be on YouTube. All right. Lesson number 2. Even people who are considered incredibly attractive get old and less attractive. It's reality of life. One of the most important things is to use all the talents that God gave you in life to succeed. The physical representation of who you are is only one dimension of who you be. Your spiritual dimension is eternal and is an internal representation of who you are. Always remember that. Lesson number 2 to my daughter. Because I believe she's going to be a beautiful woman. So it's like, all right, slow down, little girl. Okay. Remember, there's 2 parts. 2 parts to this. Lesson number 3. Avoid dating men who don't know their life's purpose. Period. Right? It's a period right there. Avoid dating men. This is how I'm going to teach my daughter. Avoid dating men who don't know their life's purpose. He's lost. And the last thing Daddy wants for you is for you to be lost too. Okay? Because I'll tell my daughter, hey, respect your man. Follow your man. And so then what I don't want is for somebody who doesn't know where they're going to be with my daughter. Okay? Lesson number 4. Be independent until he shows you he is willing to commit to being interdependent with you. Okay, that's lesson number 4. And then lesson number 5 was, we know the saying, right? But blank grass or cash, no one rides for free. Just letting my little girl know, like, don't think they being nice. He always so nice to me. No, baby girl. No. He wants something. Just know he wants something. And so be wise. Don't depend on the man for his money. Men expect things when they do things. Okay? And I wish a man would call in and say, no, I get my money. Like, I don't have no expectations. I just want to be nice to the young lady. Like we all know what you full of. Okay. Lesson number 6. Okay. And this one, if you notice, like a lot of these were, I would say, when she begins the dating process, lessons that I would teach her. So now we're beginning to move into what I would say is you are now in relationship. Okay. And these are lessons I would teach my daughter. There is a difference between a girlfriend and a wife. You can be somebody's girlfriend, right? It's going to come a day. I hate to say it. Justin, there's going to come a day when your little girls got a boyfriend. Justin doing like this on the, like he's rubbing his hands, his knuckles, right? And that's how we all feel as fathers, right? But I also want my daughter to be in a loving relationship one day. I want to have grandchildren, which means that she's going to have to take some stumbles and, her little feelings probably going to have to get hurt so she can mature into a woman that will be a good wife. And I think what's important for her to understand is there's a difference between a girlfriend and a wife. I think this right here is what fundamentally has hurt us in marriage, because you have so many women who are playing wife before they get married, but by the time they get married, they tired. So now you run out of steam with your husband, the man that actually committed. He actually committed. He actually gave you the diamond, gave you the ring, said, I'll spend my lifetime with you. And it's like, well, I'm not doing that. But you used to. So we got to understand, like, baby girl has to understand that if he's your boyfriend, that's cool. Okay, so then you do stand next to him at homecoming, right? Like, that's okay, right? You can take pictures with him, right? You can like his little social media stuff, right? But we're not playing wife. We're not playing wife because he hasn't committed to you as a husband. He hasn't committed to you as a husband. There's a difference. We live in a time now where sex is so prevalent. It's in many ways, it's been cheapened. And because sex is so cheap, like, people feel like, you're not doing it. Something wrong with you. We do young men like that. And we do young women like that because it's so cheap. So let's talk about sex right quick, because when you talk about boyfriend versus wife, I'm going to tell if he's your boyfriend and but I need some. Okay, but can you take care of me? Can you take care of a baby if you put a baby inside of me? Can I take, because I think about my wife, right? And what she went through in this last pregnancy. Can from month 7, 8, and 9, if I get uncomfortable, can you run point? Right? And then after I have the baby, for month 1 and 2 after that, can you run point? Are you willing to run point? Not only that, are you committed to running point? Like, have you promised me that you're going to run point? Because why would I let you enter me and put your seed in me and you haven't made that level of commitment? And then, by the way, right, that's just 5 months. That's just 5 months. Now I need a lifetime out of you so we can raise the seed. Because in today's environment, we have too many young people who don't have both a mother and a father. So then why would we double down on trauma when we don't have to? Why would we double down on dysfunction when we don't have to? Right now, I'm telling you, man, if you have a daughter, you might want to tell her, tune in. Tune in. See, because here's the thing, that God is telling you he loves you so much, he needs you so much, might not even remember you if you walk up to him a few years from now. Those are the kind of numbers people putting up. Did I have sex with you? Can you imagine? I'm a man, right? And I really don't care if a woman doesn't remember me. But I couldn't imagine being a woman. And a man took what was most precious, or experienced one of the things that is most precious. I haven't even got into the spiritual implications yet. So just sit tight. Right? But takes what is most precious. And then he don't even remember me. Can you imagine? Some of y'all saw Woman King. Remember that part? In Woman King, where she remembered, like, he's one of the men that raped her, and he didn't even know. He didn't even know. But the impact, right? And that's rape. But talk about, like, I consented, and you don't remember me, you don't know me? Or you act like you don't know me? And by the way, you could say, well, that's a foul man. But where is the personal responsibility? This is where we have to, in an age and time where they're trying to teach our children sex. Oh, sex is normal. Sex is many different ways. By the time they're in 6th grade, sex is healthy. And guess what? Sex is normal. sex is healthy. Sex is also for committed adults. Because sex comes with a whole lot of other stuff. More than just STDs. It comes with children. It comes with responsibility. It comes with soul ties. See, this is what they're not saying in the 6th grade curriculum. Hey, did you know that if you have intercourse with someone, that you can create a spiritual tie to that person where it becomes incredibly difficult to let them go? So while you're having fun, right, while you're feeling good, just know that if this person battles with depression, if this person battles with that they could actually transfer some of those things to you. So now problems that you've never had, issues that you've never had to deal with, like lay down with somebody who battles with anxiety. I'm just keeping it real. Now we're going into the spiritual aspects. So, he my boyfriend. He been my boyfriend for 2 years. Okay, that's good. Your boyfriend got anxiety. Does your boyfriend get depressed sometime? Do you want all that too? Folks out here walking around with baggage and luggage that they didn't come with. That's not even in your family line. Now, let me back this up with something. As black folk, we already have epigenetic DNA trauma, right? So, and this is why I'm going to teach my daughter like this, because your mother and I have done the work, therapy, coaching, transformational tour of Ghana, identity. We've done all this work to begin to reverse the epigenetic generational trauma. So why would you let some little boy slide up in you and introduce more pain? Introduce depression. Like, we don't deal with that. Like in my family, like we don't, like, you know, my wife and I, we don't deal with that. Introduce anxiety. We don't deal with that. Introduce disease. But I'm going to stay with the spiritual because we get the physical part. I want to stay with the spiritual part. Because the other thing that sex is, it's a spiritual union. Now, I know this well because there was a time in my life where I was promiscuous. I'm going to put myself on blast. And during this time of my life, I kept asking myself, man, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels, right? And I was successful. But like some of the things I really wanted to do, some of the traction I really wanted to make, felt like I couldn't get there. I couldn't really get over the hump. And I didn't understand why. And the reason I didn't understand why, because I justified my sexual behavior. Like that wasn't, in my mind, that was not a problem. Like that's not it. And by the way, because of my trauma and because of what I was dealing with, I used sex like a drug. It's a feel-good thing. It wasn't about the woman. It was about me. So it was very unlikely that I was having a sexual transaction where I felt the spiritual unity. It was like, nah, just physical relief. And I'm getting my needs met because it's kind of like a drug. I'm working 70 hours a week. It was like, de-stress. I learned that in therapy, by the way, about myself. So a lot of those interactions were meaningless. I hate to say it, but they were. A lot of those interactions were meaningless. However, what I didn't understand was what I was giving away spiritually. And what I was giving away spiritually was my creativity, was my chi. That's an Eastern, we don't even talk about that in the West, right? And you can't talk about that in the West because we're over-sexualized. In a culture where you're over-sexualized, we don't understand the impact of energy. But when you lay with someone who you're not with in a reciprocal way, and I'm not going to have time, we're going to go to break, so I'm going to have to finish this after the break. But when you lay with someone who you're not receiving from in a reciprocal way, you're giving away your creative capacity and your creative energy. Some of you all, if you haven't figured out quite yet why you're not hitting your goals, it's because of your sexual behavior. Because everything you intend to create, because this is spiritual and creation is spiritual, when you combine with someone in a spiritual way, because that's what sex is spiritual union. Like if they call sex spiritual union, I think folks might think twice. They might think twice. They might be like, do I really want to spiritually unify with this individual? Do I really want to open my spirit to whatever's happening with their spirit and create what is called sexual transmutation? Do I really want to do that? Do I want to mutate with their spirit? I mean, it's something to think about. And because it's not being taught this way, it's not even being taught this way in church, right? You go to church, they're like, don't do it. Be pure. But what are you being pure from? You're being pure from other spiritual influence. That's what you're being pure from. Let me put it like this. You ever meet a couple who's been together for like 10 years, 15 years? You're like, y'all talk the same. Like, y'all like brother and sister. Y'all look alike. You ever seen that? People like, y'all look alike. We think of it like, oh, they look alike. But consider when they met each other, they couldn't be more different, right? But 10 years of sexual, spiritual union will do that. Right? Of course you start moving the same, talking the same. And by the way, that's the beauty of marriage. I mean, there are times where my wife doesn't even she starts a sentence and I go, okay, babe. Right? We're in tune. We're in sync. And that's the beauty of sex and marriage, is that it has you in sync. It also gives you a different level of long suffering with one another. That's necessary, right? But this is why you think they look alike, because they have similar spirits. The reason they have similar spirits is because they've been in sexual union for a decade. They've been in sexual union. I mean, I'm saying sexual union. You all get it. Spiritual union for a decade because they're having sex. Okay. They've been in spiritual union for 2 decades. And so this is why you see that kind of like mirroring almost of like, yeah, they move the same. They talk the same. They're becoming the same because that's what marriage is, right? Not that they don't have individual identities. Don't get me wrong, all right? Because I heard myself say they're becoming the same people. I want to be you get what I mean, okay? My wife and I came into the marriage with different visions, similar visions, but different visions. And now we're like, those visions are becoming in sync, right? Everything we're doing is like, okay, that serves us. So when I think about, like, I can't even like sex with another woman, like having this understanding. So, because here's the thing, right? This is what happens. Now I go open myself up spiritually to somebody outside of my wife. This is why, you ever wonder why somebody knows, like a man knows or a woman knows? You ever like, something ain't right. Something ain't right. It's spiritual. It's spiritual. What you do when you were gone? Why you asking me questions? Because she feels it spiritually, right? Because he feels it spiritually. Who you with? You always think I'm with somebody. I ain't with nobody. It's like he looking at you. Because when he laid with you, it felt different. Why did it feel different? Because there's a new spiritual component. What you do yesterday? How you know? How you know? How does he know? How does she know? See, and this is where people gaslight you, make you feel crazy. You always do I ain't do nothing. but my spirit ain't saying that. My spirit, this is why you want to walk with the Creator, because Creator, like, what's going on here? I didn't lay with the same spirit I laid with last time. You get where I'm going? And by the way, you can't do that if you land with multiple spirits. Like, how do you know? You don't know. You don't know if you picked it up or they picked it up. But there's a sensation, there's a feeling. And see, the thing is, we don't talk about these dimensions, but my children, they got to know. They got to know. My daughter's got to know. Let me take this one step further, because somebody was asking about epigenetics. And you're right. Thanks for that, Miss Robinson, because Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about it in her book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. This whole notion of epigenetics. But the reason I believe epigenetics is a thing is because we're spiritual beings. And so I embody the spirit of my ancestors. This is something we learn when we go to Ghana, right? And this has been an African way of being for generations. It's something that was taken from us during slavery, this whole idea of embodying the spirit of my ancestors. Why do I embody the spirit of my ancestors? Because a part of them is inside of me, right? I have a marker that's inside of me. So my ancestors that went through slavery went through some terrible horrors and traumas. And those horrors and traumas are then marked in my DNA. And so this is why some of us are, talking to one young lady. I get claustrophobic in elevators. I don't know why. Well, consider that one of your maternal ancestors probably got locked in a box. Right? And so now you need to do some work to overcome that level of trauma that she experienced, that she passed to you. We don't talk about this stuff. And so, you know how they say the apple don't fall far from the tree? Well, guess what? When the apple fell from the tree, it grew another apple tree just a couple of feet away. Right? It ain't that far, right? It's all in the family. And so if grandmama had it, you got it. If great-grandmama had it, you got it. And now we have the knowledge to do something about it. Let's purge these things. Let's get rid of these things. So my point was, when I brought up epigenetics, if I'm working on my ancestral line and I'm doing everything to make sure my children have a different platform to stand on, what I'm telling my baby girl is, baby girl, don't go breaking down everything we built up by laying down with different men and disturbing yourself spiritually. Because we've done so much spiritual work. Don't do that. And I'm going to teach it to her in a spiritual way, so she understands the implications. There are physical implications, pregnancy, disease, all those things. There are spiritual implications. That's number 6. That's a big lesson. It's a difficult lesson. It's a difficult lesson because we are human beings. And the Creator created us with sexual urge, sexual appetite, sexual desire. And so it's no different from food. Now, I want you all really to hear this, right? Because we also have an appetite for certain things, like certain foods. When you understand the impact of eating a particular type of food, somebody could call in right now, give me your favorite food. I probably could tell you what's in it that's not good for you, okay? But let's just go with cheese. Yeah. Folks like, no, he didn't. No, let's just go with cheese. So one of the things, you can Google it, you can look it up. One of the things that we know is most African Americans are lactose intolerant. Okay? And you don't start that way, because children have an ability to process dairy, like some children, not all children, but some African American children up to the age of 5, up to the age of 10, they can take in a little more cheese, right? But then there comes a time where the body stops processing that lactose. And this is in African Americans. This is how it works for African Americans. And when it stops processing that lactose, it doesn't break it down the same. And when it doesn't break it down the same, then the body begins to attack it and sends white blood cells. And white blood cells begin to attack these parts of the body, and it causes inflammation and mucus. And this is why some folks are always like this. Right? That's an impact. Too much dairy, cow's milk, cheese, things like that in your diet, or sugars, okay? Because that causes mucus, inflammation, things like that. Now, when you understand that and you really get it, like you understand the impact of cheese on the body. I gave this example on the show before where my family, we had a whole conversation about whether or not we were going to order a pizza, on what night it was, and when we were going to do it. Because we understand the physical impact of that pizza on the body. I know, my wife knows I'm not eating a pizza on a Saturday night because I understand the impact on my body, on my digestive system, on my mental clarity. It goes that deep. And because I understand it, I can say no to cheese. Oh, you see where I'm going? So I got an appetite for it. Don't get me wrong, pizza is good. Illuminati's, thin crusts. My favorite is oh man, which one is it, babe? I'm thinking about my wife. We get the one with all the vegetables on it. And then I put some jalapenos on my side. You know what I'm saying? With some mushrooms. And I go, easy on the cheese, please. Right? But I also know that, oh yeah, I'm going to have to cleanse after this. I also know that I might have a little mucus after this. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to work this out. I also know when I go to the gym, I'm going to feel like I just can't shift gears. There's a consequence. And this is what we're not taught about sex. The same way, if we teach our children about this, because here's the thing, they might go do it. Then they feel something. Oh man, Daddy said that this had consequence. I'm done with that. I don't want no more pizza. Not right now. I think I need to be a little more careful about who I lay down with, because I can actually see what he was talking about. Because sometimes I know this is how I grew up. I had to make the mistake. I had to go do it. Then I'm like, this is why my mama told me not to do this, right? It's like, I had to go do it, right? But see, this is when understanding comes in. If we understand what sex does, I have an appetite. I have urges. But I'm willing to curb the urge because I know what it can do to me. I know what it can do to me. I know that those flaming hots have red dye 40 in them, and that causes dementia. And so as good as it is, I say no. I say no. I know that having sex with multiple people can spiritually confuse me. I know that it can have implications on my goals and what I'm looking to create in my personal integrity. And so I say no. Ooh, he fine. Whew, Jesus. Woo, Lord. But no. You got to go. We done. Netflix isn't chilling. We done. And that's all we going to do. It's not going to be Netflix, chill, and sex. That's all we going to do. I'm done. Even for the man. Like, woo. Girl, you don't know, but I'm trying to create some things here. I got some goals. And you liable to mess all that up. Because she will. Let me tell you, boy. That's the power, right? You thought she would say some money. Now you're chasing something different, right? And you don't even understand why. I don't even know, man. That's all I think about is her. All you thinking about before was, I'm going to build this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to create this. Man, they don't see me coming. And then you get a taste. You like, I can't think about nothing else. What you doing? Where you at? Right? That's the power. Now, hold on. Let me talk about reciprocity real quick. This is huge in this conversation. So here's what happens. You can look it up. When you look at Eastern philosophy, monks, they discourage sex. And the reason they discourage sex is they say because sex takes away from your chi, your creative chi. If you want to go to the highest levels of spiritual awareness, if you want to go to the highest levels of spiritual creation, then one of the ways that you do that is by holding your chi. And this is for men, right? This is for men. And so they believe that women take your chi. And sometimes you'll even hear people say, well, you know, you want to go at least 8 days without ejaculation, at least, so you can keep your, you're like, well, what if you're married? What if you're married? Like, is that good for the marriage? And here's what I believe the Creator revealed to me. When I give my chi to my wife, and we can work this out both ways, right? We can work this out both ways because if I give my chi to a woman, let's just say I step outside my marriage. I give my chi to a woman outside my marriage. She's off and gone with my energy, right? She might say, oh, I feel a different sense of positivity today. This is next morning, right? Woo, I'm going to get some things done because she's carrying my chi, right? And she's moving. See, this is what men don't realize they're giving up, especially if you're a good man. Like, you got to treat yourself like a king. All right, this is why kings, like, before a woman came in, a woman had to go through a process before she came in, and then he didn't want her going anywhere. Like, a lot of times they would make her a concubine. You got to stay. Like, my chi can't just go running off. Right? You know, they understood this. We don't understand this anymore. Okay? So I give my chi to this woman. She's off. Oh, I feel great today. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm tired. My wife calls me. I'm confused. What are you doing, baby? Right? Now, mind you, she's going to find out when she sleep with me. Right? What's wrong with him? Right? So that's one thing. And see, we don't think of it that way. There's some powerful men out there who are just spreading themselves that if they brought a different level of sexual discipline, ooh, buddy. Ooh, you don't even know what you would create if you had sexual discipline. All right, so then let's talk about in a marriage. So in a marriage, I give my wife my chi. But what happens is she gives it right back to me. And then I give it to her again, and she gives it back. And I give it to her again, she gives it back. Reciprocity. And she's not going anywhere. So then it's going to my son, it's going to my daughter, and they give it back to me. So this is why I disagree with the Eastern philosophy. Like, oh, you got to keep yourself out of all that. It's like, well, if it's my wife, it's going to her. It's coming back to me. It's in the meal she cooked me last night. You feel me? Right? It's in the way she squeezed my shoulders when I was tired. It's in the breakfast she prepared. It's in the way when I walked in from cleaning the garage, the whole kitchen was clean. I'm like, right? It's everywhere. It's in my tea that she put on the nightstand. It's in the cold water that she brought to me when I was in the garden. And she keeps giving it back to me. And this is why they say 1,000. I mean, one person can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000. This is the beauty of marriage. This is the sanctity of marriage. And when we begin to understand this spiritually, this whole sexual spiritual thing, you can take that and create in a beautiful way with that. In a beautiful way with that. Or you can take that and destroy your life. You could be a beautiful woman. You keep letting ugly men unite with you. Guess what you'll become? This is a level of training. This is sex education. This right here is sex education. If they can give it to your 6th grader, you can let them listen to this. See, this is where we messing up. Like, we ain't talking about this. So now they telling them all the stuff. Like, we ain't in conversation. Preachers, you need to talk about this. Stop telling folks just no. Don't do it. Stop just, well, in Corinthians it says fornicators. Like, no, get practical. Teach. That's your mission. Teach. We gotta do better, man. We gotta do better. Because my people perish for lack of knowledge. When you got knowledge, knowledge does something different because I might want to, right? Woo, that looks good. But then knowledge says, yeah, but if you do, here are the implications. And because I have the knowledge and I understand the implications, it's like, nah, I'm straight. I'm good. One of my family members asked me some time ago, Linnell, you cheat on your wife? I said, no. He said, come on, man. It's just me. Yeah, it's us. You talk. By the time I got done with this conversation, he was trying to get up and walk away. He was like, he wanted to hear it, right? Because it's like, it was bringing a certain level of grief to him because of his own life. No, I don't, and this is why I don't. Now, where you going, cuz? Come back. Like, let me tell you. Because it ain't just me that this will impact. You're already being impacted. This is why I'm teaching my daughter lesson number 2. Because one of the things that I encountered, and it even happened, it was a perception when I got engaged to Pam. One of the things I encountered are too many beautiful women who haven't developed themselves fully. And he was talking about that, right? And I think this is one of the reasons why often sometimes these women, they experience a lack of commitment from men in relationship. They go, I'm so beautiful. Why won't man stay with me? Well, that's what you focused on. And when you don't have other attributes to bring to the table, then you don't have that stickiness. Because that beauty, like with men, we're hunters, right? Oh, I conquered that. All right, on to the next one. And that's a man who's not enlightened with what I just talked about, that's what it's going to be. That's exactly how it's going to be. And that's why I said to my daughter, hey, you could be incredibly attractive. 1, you're going to get old. But 2, what's important is what God gave you. The spiritual dimension of what God gave you, your talents, your gifts. Maximize that. Because if you're beautiful and talented, unless he's stupid, he ain't going nowhere. I know when I met my wife, I was like, wait a second. Wait, this woman is not just is she gorgeous, but she is talented? Okay, Jesus. Right? It's like, all right. Hey, I was done. I'm like, I'm done. This is it. All in. All the chips in the middle. But it's because she had that. She had that. And this is something that I think sometimes, in the world we live in, it puts all the emphasis on the physical representation of who you are. But that cliche that, being beautiful on the inside matters, oh man, does it matter, especially these days. The Creator has blessed me with the gift of teaching and also the gift of curiosity. And I was telling my brother this last night. I was like, one of the problems we have is that we don't question everything. We come to these conclusions. And even when I come to a conclusion, I question the conclusion. Is this the right conclusion? Is there something different? Is there something better? Years ago, when the Creator started to work in my life, and I stepped away from how I was moving and doing things, my promiscuous behavior. And I wanted to bring intention to relationship. I wanted to create something, all because I wanted to have a family. This is what we're going to be talking about at 9:30. Slay Your Goal is around vision. I had a vision, and that vision was for family. I started asking questions, and my prayers were, help me understand. Like, one, why is it so hard? And when I say hard, like, sexual appetite, things like that, because I was starting to, put the squeeze on myself, and it was difficult. Why is it so hard? And then I went to another place. I said, you know what? I can't just do this physically. I need you to enlighten me mentally, and I need you to fortify me spiritually. Help me understand what's happening on those levels. And that's when the Creator gave me this notion of sexual, spiritual reciprocity. And he helped me see that when you lay with these women, Linnell, I've given you a brilliance and an ability to create, and I've given you gifts. But the reason you haven't been able to fully execute and hit your potential is because you keep giving it away. You keep giving it away. You think these women are attracted to you simply because you're you? You look in the mirror and smile. $1 million smile. What's up, baby? No, they sense something spiritual. They sense something spiritual. They sense your spiritual brilliance. They sense your spiritual essence. And you're the one that doesn't get it. Like, you don't get it. Stop giving it away. And when that clicked, he began to help me really formalize this. I'm saying this because Karen talked about this message being preach boldly or talk. I see myself as a teacher, not a preacher, you guys. Because preachers, like, they'll tell you what to do, right? I want to teach you why you shouldn't and why you should. And that's the gift that the Creator gave me, the gift of teaching. I asked for wisdom. I already had the gift of teaching. I got that through my mother. Talk about ancestral, spiritual epigenetics, right? I got that through my mother. I know I got it from my mother, okay? And my mother came from a line of teachers. And so because I struggle with this on a personal level, see, this is the thing, right? I believe the Creator he knows how to just, even when you're outside of his will, when you come back in, make it perfect. He knows how to do that. And he gave this to me. And so now I feel a responsibility to give it to you all through the love I have for my daughter. And I say that because not everybody's going to agree with this type of teaching, right? Well, why are you saying that? Well, guess what? You don't have to teach your daughter this way. You don't have to teach your son this way. But this is what I'll teach my daughter, because I know that if she follows this, she will have nothing but success. Nothing but success. So, Karen, that's the why. For the other people listening, you're like, well, I've never heard this before. Why don't people? Because I believe it was given to me. And now what I'm saying is I don't have sole proprietorship over this. You take it, you transcribe it, and then you teach it. Because we need to know. You know how they say knowledge is grievous? I think the only reason knowledge is grievous is because when you want to do what you want to do and you know what you're supposed to do, it kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And so I know some people right now are like, man, this brother done messed up my flow. I done turned on inspirational perspective. He ain't never talked about sex before. And he done messed up my flow. Because knowledge is grievous. But guess what else? My people perish from a lack of knowledge. And I just think, we know all the do's and don'ts, but we don't know the whys. And when you understand the whys, it makes you wise, right? WHYS. Then WISE. Let's write that down, Ade. When you understand the whys, it makes you wise. And that's all, man. That's my prayer. Like, Lord, make me, man, I pray with my son, you know, at night when we're going to sleep. Like, give us wisdom. Help us to be good stewards of all the many blessings that you've given us. And as we are good stewards of all the things you've given us, continue to enlarge our territory. Don't limit yourself, or don't allow yourself to be limited to your physical capabilities. But always be a lady. It's the second part of that lesson in number 6. Always be a lady. There's something powerful about a woman that knows how to be a woman. And this is one of the other lessons. I'm just going to kind of give you a sneak peek. Sisters, you got so much power. You got so much power. Like, there's so much that my wife can get me to do. I mean, all she got to do is ask half the time. And then some of the things I don't want to do, like, there's a formula. There's a formula. But when you drop down into that masculine, I ain't going. And one of the things I'm going to teach my daughter is how to be a lady with her man. I'm just giving you a sneak peek into next week. Like, you be a lady with your man. Oh, he ain't going to be able to, like, I don't know why I spent that. I don't know why I bought her that. I don't know why I did that. Baby, she got me. But it's because you're a lady. Because you're a lady. You know. So, honey will catch more flies. Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.